in terror. I don't know what just happened there, but it's going to be a skip in this video. But anyway, I wake up in terror, and I couldn't scream out to them and say, "Hey, come and help me," and blah 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 blah. So when my dad saw my mom, um, there was something about her that captured his attention. All right, I made that clear and said that enough. Um, in other words, he saw her. So due to circumstances, that happened to my family, my dad shared with us about how the family name, property, and land was stolen from them, via these tricks, by these people in suits and carrying Bibles, calling themselves Christians, and how they came in there and uh, somehow was able to mess around with the mortgage deeds and steal the property. All right, so that's what my dad attempted to go talk to these people, because they said that they were, he attempted to go and talk to these people and see if he can get the land back or something to that effect, and they threatened to kill him. All right, they threatened his life, and I think my dad said that on numerous occasions they would say to him, "You think you know?" Or something. They always was talking to him as if he was, you know, they were not treating him with respect. How about that? None at all. No respect at all to this man. All right, because he was standing up, trying to, that property belonged to them, and all of his siblings and cousins, everybody belonged to that. That was their family land and property that was stolen. And then these people had the audacity to want my family, let's say my family, which include my dad, to continue to work on that land. And of course, that wasn't going to happen. And so what that caused to happen was, okay, there was a detour or something. So that meant that there was because that's what they did back then. They took care of land and they took care of property, and that's how they were able to provide for their families that way. So, so that meant, okay, change your plans. All right. So I don't know if he was keeping up with what my mom was doing, right? Because, like I said, he was trying to secure his livelihood, because he knew that he couldn't. I mean, he knew he had to provide for himself now. Okay, because I think chances are he would probably try to look her up. I mean, I'm just assuming. Let me just stay on course here. So what that meant is that, okay, he needed to work, and there was no work there. These were farmers. Okay, that was their livelihood. This is what this city was about. This small city, or this small town, city, whatever. I mean, they were farmers. Let's be very clear. They took care of the land. That's just what my dad's. That's what my dad was raised to do, and follow the footsteps of what his dad did, and blah 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 blah. And do and just work, okay, just work, whether they're working on the property, working in the house, working side job, hustling, genuine hustling. All right, because there's nothing easy about working on a farm either, by the way. I know a lot of people glamorize it. There's nothing easy about working on a farm. Cut it out. Comedy is one thing, but in reality, cut it out. Agriculture is extremely difficult. Extremely. But so crucial. Anyway, so he couldn't do that. He couldn't find anything else in the city. It's a small town. So he kind of ventured out. And who knows how he knew to go to this particular town. Who knew? I guess some people were already there. It's a series of events. Everything's a series of events, right? As to where we end up, and it's here though. Um, I didn't get a chance to ask my mom why she ended up in this particular town. When they moved, why she moved from where they were raised and grew up, and how they all ended up in this one particular town. Out of everything else, because like I said, my mom did do some detours. She went to one city first. She da 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 da, but she ended up in that particular town. You know what I mean? She passed Atlanta. She could have gone to Atlanta. She did not. She ended up in another North Florida town, and eventually ended up where she ended up. And there were family members there, and so it's just all kind of things were coming together, right? So that's where she ended up. And then my dad happened to come into the city as well. He was hustling. Like I said, living in rooming houses. Had no more. He had farmers skills, but yet he had other skills and abilities. That's how they were raised back then. All right, they were raised to have multiple skills and abilities. All right, not just one, multiple. All right, handyman types. Okay, let's just be clear. Anyway, he ended up in the town, met with my mom, and like I said, the rest is history. So what is my point? Let me just bring it back to where we are now. Respect is irrelevant. Okay. But what's most important is that you are always defending yourself, that you're safe and you're defending yourself, whether people respect you or not. Because in most cases, they won't, regardless. Okay, regardless. All right, like I said, my dad was disrespected by those people that stole their property. Okay, and disrespectful because they threatened to kill him if he didn't back off. All right, so he decided to back off. And sometimes you do have to make those decisions. You have to make a decision. Okay, and I think what happened, he knew that he would not be represented properly, even if he had gone to court back then. Think about it. All right, let's be realistic. So he dropped it. All right, and that caused a series of events within the families. They won't admit it, but that's fine. I don't care. The relationships crumbled, whether they were or maybe they were crumbling already. And when I say that, I'm talking about my elders, my ancestors, whatever. Their relationships did not, there was some chaos, and that's how it is. Honestly, let's be honest about it. There's gonna be chaos, and it was. Some held together, and some did not. Right? My parents, But I'm saying with the families that were involved in all this, some of them broke up, some of them stayed together, blah, 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 blah. Series of events happening with each individual, because each individual has their own path. That's the point there. So when they, like I said, when my parents got together, that completed, and a lot of people are talking about assignments. Okay, let's talk about assignments here. All right, so that completed their assignment. That completed one stage of their assignment when they got together, when they bonded together, and they came together. And I've spoken enough about how that was their path, that was their alignment, and that was their destiny, was to be together. All right. So now, a lot of people set these extreme goals, and some set, a kind of a middle range, and some don't set goals at all. They just kind of, they're just ignoring their paths. They're ignoring the impulses that, you need to, they're drifters. And a lot of people make that out of it can be an adventure to be a drifter. Okay, but there are some that are not doing that. For adventure, they're drifting, they're kind of avoiding, trying to avoid responsibility, avoid accountability. All right, some of these people that doing this drifting and kind of on the fringe of things are hiding. Okay, they may have a past that they don't want to accept. They may have caused some problems somewhere and they don't want to accept responsibility for resolving it. So they rather drift and not be, they don't want their names on anything. You know, they don't want their fingerprints. They don't want to leave any kind of evidence of their existence. All right, we have billions of that. All right, so that's why we won't ever solve the homelessness or the unhoused. Get over that, please, and be okay with it. We're not going to solve homelessness. It's just not going to happen. All right, because why? Because why? It's because that's the individual's doing and responsibility. All right, and it's their free will. It's their free will. Okay, so my point is, we are not responsible at some point. I mean, you have to know where your responsibility lie. And if you are these, these leaders that have the best intentions, I'm paying attention to that. You have to know when. Okay, regardless of what public opinion is, because public opinion is being paid to be public opinion. In other words, it's not their opinion. They're being paid to say a lot of things. They're being paid to do a lot of things to cause disrupt anyone's good intention. That is what they get paid to do. So it's about getting paid. That's what it boils down to usually. It's about getting paid regardless. All right, you'll be surprised how people compromise so-called integrity, so-called decency, when they get so desperate, and so, by any means necessary, I want to get paid. That's how it gets for them. That's how they got squeezed into being, infiltrators, informants, because they have no compass of integrity and decency. They weren't developed properly. So anything, there's a price for everything for them. And I can guarantee that kind of parasite leeches and followers, I can guarantee they're still getting paid. Even if they started their crusading and their so-called phantom leadership back in the 60s, the 70s. Let's just stay there, okay? Because chances are the ones that were, a lot of them have already died. A lot of these so-called infiltrators and crusaders and these cult riding, cowards, underdeveloped cowards. Most of them have passed away or killed themselves. Okay, or they are hiding on the fringes. But like I said, a lot of them are at that age where they possibly have died, or some of them are at that age where they died on the street, and because there's a lot of unidentified people, right? A lot of unidentified people that were in morgues all over the country. Unidentified bodies. Nobody's claiming these bodies. All right, I can imagine there's more than what they're telling us. Because at some point, okay, there may have been a call go out, say in the 50s, 60s, let's just say 30s, 50s, whatever. You have these police officers that go out, they see another dead body. Okay, it's another dead body, no identification on them. Take them to the morgue. Take them to the morgue. And these people are are not identified because there's no effort usually, because they came off the streets. They were probably on the skid row. They looked like they were this and they looked like they were that. So there was a judgment made because there were so many of them. Take them to the morgue. All right. So, and bury them at some point, of course. And unmarked graves where all of a sudden now I'm sure you won't find the records of it. Somebody may have been creative enough and hidden the records of who this numerous amount of unidentified bodies, and and hid it. Who knows? But for the most part, it's probably destroyed. Most of it, all of it, possibly, in all cities, by the way. So we're extreme about everything, so extreme. And I say, the damage has been done. Okay, on a large scale, the damage has been done. Irregardless, there's still responsibilities that each one of us has. We all have our own path to take. Okay, we all have our own responsibilities and our own paths that we need to be paying attention to. Right? Whether we see it, hear it, sense it, feel it, whatever. There is a destiny for all of us. Yes, some of us, because we're so massively overpopulated, we're going to run into parallel thinkers, which we would have eventually met up anyway in some way, shape, or form, or maybe not. We don't have to. But so that I said this a while back, that there are parallel people. We are like parallel. We're like a group. We're like operating under the same kind of we kind of bond together as energy of people. We eventually like-mindedness. That's what we're like-mindedness. So one way or another, we're going to either come together in some way, whether where we're paying attention to each other's creativity, something. We're going to have a connection. All right, whether I'm listening to your music, whether I'm listening to your voice, or whether I'm blah 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 blah. All right, so that's a connection. And so when my dad left the city that where the property was, there was nothing there. He said there was no reason for him to be there. Okay, so that's why he left. And my mom had a different situation where she was trying to get away from the grips of her parents and the grip of she wanted some freedom. Freedom. Because she was a babysitter and she wanted freedom. I guess she felt like she was being held back. And chances are she was, because why? Because she was doing the same thing to me. So that's how I know. But anyway, and so when my dad got to this city, when my mom got to this city, they loved it. That was their Hollywood in the beginning. You know what I mean? And when I say their Hollywood, that's where everybody always Hollywood and Beverly Hills. Everybody always give those cities that top notch of whatever. There's something, the Mount Everest of cities have always been Beverly Hills and Hollywood. We know that. Or Atlantic City and, or Vegas, blah, 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 blah. Those cities have always had that kind of lure for people to be congregating to. So when they got to this city, that was their Hollywood. That was their Beverly Hills. They loved it. And they loved it. And because it's numerous times I said, well, y'all go back? Because I didn't like the city. I didn't like it for some reason. I did not like the city. My parents were where we ended up with, where I ended up with the parents. I didn't like the city per se. I felt like, I felt stuck there. But I love the culture. I love the people. I love the culture. But I did leave at some point. And when I moved out, I moved out of the city. I moved out of the city, even though I came back after my parents got sick, blah, blah, blah. So my point is this. You do have to follow your own path. And so, for example, if someone says, okay, I want to climb Mount Everest, okay, are they saying I believe I can climb Mount Everest? Because if someone says I believe I can climb Mount Everest, chances are they will not climb Mount Everest. I can guarantee you. But if they took belief out of it and says, you know what, I'm gonna climb Mount Everest, and if they put in the necessary work, they're gonna climb Mount Everest. Okay. Or they're going to jump out of a plane. I'm not doing none of that. I'm not climbing no Mount Everest. I'm not jumping out of no plane. I'm not bungee jumping. No, baby. No way. I don't need to do all of that. I don't need that. I'm good. Just give me a good meal, honey. That makes me happy. Having great food to eat, the variety of food, and a solid culture, a solid like-minded people. I want the intimacy, the closeness, the relationship, the marriage, and that kind of thing, and build that way. And, and I have the skills to do whatever I need to do. And if I need to do something, I do it. I raise myself up to handle. And I call it, that's what I mean by high functioning, where I have to sometimes raise myself up to another level within myself to handle things. Okay, because I know who's going to take care of me. I remain single by choice. It was my free will to do so. Okay, there was no desperation for me to be married or have kids. Okay, during the, and to this point, to where I am now. So, we need to get over expecting things from people. Okay, you think we're going to get respect now when I don't, from a black culture perspective, okay, looking out, okay, has there ever been any respect for black culture? Never. Okay, if there was any time, if respect ever showed up, okay. So, but nonetheless, I can imagine how many times my dad may have been pulled over by the police. Okay, I remember the times where he could have been killed. Okay, because who knows what could have happened to him? Because alcohol did come in and kind of interfere with his judgment and his thoughts, and because it's alcohol is poison. Let's just make that clear and effective. Okay, but some people, enjoy it nonetheless, and I'm not going to tell you not to, but I'm just be clear, and to be honest with you, most of everything we're taking in is poison. So there you go. But it's still a free will and free choice to know that, okay, there are consequences with certain types of activities. There's always consequences. There's always cause and effect. There's always the boomerang, right? There's always the energy of and what comes to you. What your subconscious works, continually is attempting to get your attention on. We're all contradicting. We're all walking contradictions, all of us. And the chances are we're going to always be, until we can raise our vibration, and we have not. To raise our consciousness, which we have not. As a matter of fact, we're degenerating. Why? Look at the results. That's why I say pay attention to the results, the effects. Instead of calling it karma, look at the effects and say, okay, what is this? So that you can keep it neutral and not attempt to blame people. If those people weren't this, and if those people weren't that, and if these people, so we can get out of that, attempting always blaming people and bestowing yourself as self-righteous, and carrying on. Cut it out. It's becoming comical, actually. Why? Because it's all being exposed. A lot of our behaviors and actions are being exposed. You can't get away with certain behaviors and activities and not be called to explain your behavior and why you have this contradiction, but we have evidence to suggest otherwise, so whatever. So we have our own paths. So I say, you do whatever you want, free will. I say, clear up your contradictions, challenge your beliefs, challenge your faith, challenge it, and ask yourself, why is it there? Why would I say I believe I can fly? Can you fly? I believe I can climb Mount Everest. Can you? I believe I can fall out of a plane. I believe I can bungee jump. Can you? How would you know? So, and I'm going to bring it, and let me just say this too, again, about these certain expectations. Again, we need to think a little bit more about, because right now it's about surviving. Right now it's about being safe. One thing, it's more about being grounded in reality. It's about assessing, being reflective about your individual circumstances as we sit in thoughts. You can sit down and think a little bit, but without ruminating, being reflective without ruminating. Okay, you could be in no thought meditation so that you can just sit there, no thought, and just see what's happening, being more observant and focused. What do you want? Okay, and the thing about certain things, whether you've earned them or not, that's important to the individual. Okay, you do have to earn certain things, but if somebody is not willing to pay you, what are you going to do? Okay, so if someone's not willing to give you respect, if you expect respect, then what are you going to do? Okay, or give you love. Love is what's sought after, actually, and I told you it comes in many forms, but it's that ultimate sought after of experience of love. That's what it's all about, and sometimes we're like I said, we're so extreme and willful. We want people to do this. We want people to do that. We want people to say this. We want people to say that. A lot of people are doing so much to control. Woo! And it's a grip. And some people have fallen into that trap. And like cults, being in cults, CULT, and not recognizing that you are. To be indoctrinated and not recognize that you are. Not know that you're being, you're being forced in a degenerate way to believe this or have faith in this. So you just have to ask, okay, so why do I need faith there? What is faith? First of all, that's what you have to identify. What does faith mean to me? And why is it there? Do I need it? Is it necessary? I have faith that I can climb Mount Everest, or I can climb Mount Everest. Faith doesn't have to be there. I believe I can climb Mount Everest. Take belief out, I can climb Mount Everest. So beliefs and faith are third part. It's like a third party there, like standing in the way. Okay, excuse me. And I told you that's what pastors and preachers, some pastors, preachers, teachers, messengers, gurus, prophets, uh, teachers, that's what they do. Some of them do that too. They're in your vision. They're in your way. They're in your ear. You feel, they're in their obstruction. They're obstructing you. They're obstructing your view. So, there's nothing going to be easy about anything. But then that becomes, that's a lower way. I mean, look, let me just be very clear. That's just not a motivated way to look at things anyway. For easiness? So you're not going to progress if you think things are easy. So now let's bring it back to me now, right? And I'm going to go ahead and close it out in a minute. And let me just say this again. I'm doing this. I'm doing what I'm doing out of love, out of adventure, out of a vision and alignment. Okay. My life was laid out for me in my dreams, in my daydreaming, in my visualization. Okay. And I happen to be awake when it came to me or when I saw it. Okay. And then everything else got enhanced. All of my senses got enhanced because of what I saw. The vision. I'm like, oh, I can remember, like I said, when I was a little girl, having these kind of dreams, having the same kind of dream over and over and over and over and over. And then one day, I happened to be, out in the middle of the night working somewhere. And I happened to, it's like, there it was. Some of the things I was dreaming about. And I'm thinking, oh, it's like it was a spark of something. Just put it that way. That's as clear as I can make it visually without going too far. It was just a vision of something. It was a spark. Okay, and that's how it was. It was like an inspiration too. Because you could have you could have various visions and snapshots of inspiration. That's what I was after I had one vision and an inspiration of something. It's like it starts opening up, and then something is about the reality changes. My perspective changes. I'm like, open it up. Okay, and so I'm following that, regardless of the outcome. Okay, I'm going there, regardless of the reception I receive. I'm taking that journey regardless. Okay. Again, we a lot of people are, like I said, are missing opportunities. We're standing in people's way. We're draining people's energy. We can't make a decision. We're holding people up. Or we're wasting people's time. Get there, and then you wait and wait and wait. Or threaten people that you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to get this, you didn't get, and just constantly have people going in circles of insanity and not being considerate of others. No consideration, especially of the elderly. Okay, I've told you how we treat some of our elderly people. Back on old videos about how we are causing unnecessary anxiety and a lot of our elderly, and not going to them Like I said, go to them and find out what their problems are. Instead, we make them get out of their homes of safety, get on public transportation, and go handle things, especially with banking. Especially with banking. It's criminal how you treat some of the elderlies. Criminal. Because of the fact that they have to come out of their homes, get on sometimes public transportation, which may not be safe. They're immobile in some cases, distracted easily, this and that and the other, and then they lose their credit cards, or they get taken advantage of, or get compromised. Okay? Yes, criminal. Criminal. So, or give these false parameters to certain people, like myself, a black woman, tell him, and indoctrinate us with, okay, you need to have good credit. I do. You need to, I have all the parameters, and I go beyond it usually. And still, oh no, you don't qualify because of this, you don't qualify because of that. You're lumped in with everybody else, like I had this one little exchange with someone on the phone, and I don't blame them on the phone. They're just doing what they're being indoctrinated and told to do. They're not saying some jobs they don't want you thinking and caring. Nope. None of that. You need to follow this script and don't come off of it. We're paying attention and we're listening. These calls are being monitored. How many times we've heard that? And so, I am upstanding with my bills, or say a particular payment. I pay on time, sometimes early, most of the time early, actually, but whatever. Pay on time, do what I'm supposed to do, have a high credit score, but then you don't qualify for certain things still. Okay, so there is because of this encasement of negativity, it's caused some severe damage to a lot of consciousness and psyches of people, and they're not going to be recovered. You cannot recover them. Okay, they're not recoverable, and you just have to get out of their way and just let them, as long as they're not hurting themselves or anybody else, get out of the way. Okay, don't beg people to be in housing. If you ask, okay, we have a voucher to, if you're offering assistance to these people, and when I say these people, I'm not being, that's just what I'm saying. I made that clear why I'm saying it. So if you still get offended by it, so be it. But if you're offering these people, okay, look, we have a bed available, but you're doing all this offering to people services, assistance and services, and they refuse, okay, next. Don't be extreme. Okay. And I know, like I said, I know there's some are being extremely genuine, and it shows. Come on, I feel the energy, no matter where you are. I feel the energy of good intentions. I feel the energies of not. But I'm not gonna go into that. Let's leave that alone. But so in other words, I'm taking this journey regardless of what I run into, or what I come up against, or what this or that, or I'm coming to you. There are particular people. I am coming to you, directly to you. Now, how you receive me is how you receive me. Okay, I'm coming directly to you, and I'm going to assess the situation, right, and discover for myself, what is it why am I, why am I doing, what's going on? Okay. Because it feels what I'm doing, because it feels right. So if it feels right, then I would be crazy not to explore it. How about that? And hey, again, how it turns out is how it turns out. I told you some people will go certain places for a job. Some people will go certain places for love, or to hook up with someone. Some people go, like I said, will climb mountains. Okay, they'll climb hills and they'll climb valleys. They'll swim the distance of an ocean. You know, all this adventure. You know, um, and they have to know that there is a consequence to that. So I have a lot more to say about all of this because there's always a lot to say, honestly. And a lot of people are talking, hey, billions of people are talking. And I'm listening to some of you too. And more so observing. I'm not looking to, you don't owe me nothing. I don't want nothing. I'm just observing you, trying to figure out, okay, oh boy, I've been stretching, working on my posture, and ouch, my body is kind of achy. But I'm watching, monitoring. I'm concerned, but a lot of it is a boomerang returning. The pendulum, is swinging back with a vengeance, right? And some people are going to be wiped out. And that can mean anything. That can mean financially. It mean their life can be wiped out. There's various meanings to that. But as an individual, just know that you can't handle and resolve everything. And even if you decide, okay, I'm going to close up shop and just let this go, you have free will to do so. Advocacy, to me, has a sort of opening up of possibilities. It's an inspiration. It's a part of an inspiration. It's a part of a motivation. Okay, but if it starts to drain me, though, and make me physically exhausted, mentally more so exhausted, how much of a benefit is that to me? How much of a what's the incentive? Because you still need to be physically strong, you still need certain type of skills and abilities to be able to handle certain tasks, and but like I said, a lot of it is just if you just kind of meditate on it. In other words, sit down and have a no thought meditation on it. Before you go into the no thought meditation, you can ask some questions, and but then when you get into the no thought meditation, you need to sit there and see if something comes to you, because it will. But you can't be interfering. Like I told you, sometimes we put too much force in lining things up. That's interfering. Let it align you to something. Okay. Maybe it's not your advocacy anymore. Maybe you need to do something else in a form of another form of advocacy with creativity. That's a possibility. And I just want to go ahead and stop it right here on this Sunday, one of my favorite days of the week. Well, at some point, every day is going to be Sunday to me, Once I get to a certain destination, I just sense that. I feel like every day is going to be Sunday to me. Rolling in the dirt, and having fun, just being a child-like and and uh, and feeling good about it. Just feeling good about it, even in the midst of chaos and destruction. Still feeling good and thankful and grateful that I can see this. I can witness all of this. Okay, and so I want to go ahead and send peace and love to everyone over the stars, over the moon, and the mountains. And trust me, I'll be back.